Welcome to Amritkaal Ki Anganwadi. Poshan Abhiyan and Poshan 2.0 are path-making policy initiatives by the Government of India. Now, nutrition for millions of children under the age of 6, as well as pregnant and lactating women, is provided by the Ministry of Child and Development under the ICDS scheme. And it's important to know that this scheme is the world's largest mother and child nutrition and care program. Another very important thing is कि हमारे देश में जो 2/3 की पॉपुलेशन है वो बच्चों और महिलाएं की हैं. मैलन्यूट्रिशन की बात करें, अनीमिया की बात करें, ये एक चैलेंज है. सो इट्स इवन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट कि हम पोषण यानी कि न्यूट्रिशन पर ध्यान दें. तो इस चर्चा के लिए आइए मैं इंट्रोड्यूस करती हूँ अपने इस्टीम पैनलिस्ट को. We have with us Ms. Aditi Das Raut, former Additional Secretary, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Cynthia McCaffrey, UNICEF India representative, Ms. Lakshmi Priya, she is the District Magistrate of Bongaigaon, Assam. This is also the district which has received the Prime Minister's Poshan Award. We have Mr. Basantakar, he's Poverty Reduction, Health and Nutrition Champion. He's also the recipient of the Global Nutrition Leadership Award. We have with us Ms. Archana Vyas, Deputy Director Communications of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, India Office. And we have with us Dr. Aparna Hegde, Founder and Managing Trustee Arman. She's also a urogynecologist, Maternal and Child Nutrition Behavior Change Specialist. So welcome to all of you here. Aditi ji, I would like to start with you. When the Poshan Abhiyan was launched in 2018, I mean, there have been extensive evolutions, a lot of changes, and it's been trying to work, towards the target populations. So the first thing, if you could tell our viewers, what really is 2.0 Poshan, Mission Poshan, and also what have been the biggest policy shifts that you have seen?
Thank you for this opportunity. Well, I'd like to say that the prime focus of the Ministry of Women and Child Development has been to address gaps in state action for the development of women and children. And the biggest policy shift in the domain of nutrition that has taken place is Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0, which is an umbrella program in mission mode. Poshan 2.0 is an integrated nutrition support program, and it seeks to create a convergent ecosystem to develop and promote practices that nurture health, wellness and immunity. Besides, it seeks to very importantly improve the quality and delivery of nutrition under the supplementary nutrition program. So there are three very important schemes which are aligned under Poshan 2.0. These are the Anganwadi Services Scheme, under which the supplementary nutrition program is an integral component. The Poshan Abhiyan for community outreach as well as engagement, essentially for behavior change communication, and the scheme for adolescent girls, which targets all adolescent girls in the age bracket of 14 to 18 years who are outside the ambit of the midday meal scheme in schools. And these girls are essentially those who are located in the aspirational districts and the northeast states. So the common core of Poshan 2.0 is essentially four. It looks at maternal and also adolescent nutrition, infant and young child feeding practices, treatment for moderately malnourished and severely malnourished, that is SAM and MAM children, and wellness through Ayush. It also rests on three basic principles, which is convergence, transparency in governance and capacity building. So for the first time, the district magistrate was designated as the nodal point in the district for nutrition, and he or she was mandated to head the district nutrition committee. Besides, duties and responsibilities were also delineated for CDPOs, DPOs, lady supervisors, Anganwadi workers, and most importantly, local stakeholders like mothers groups for greater accountability and ownership of the Anganwadi program. Keeping in view the importance of ECC, we have taken a very important policy decision that all mini Anganwadis will be upgraded to main Anganwadis, because at all times we need the assistance of a helper to be with the Anganwadi worker. Out of the 1.16 lakh mini Anganwadis, already sanctions have been issued for upgradation of 48,000 mini Anganwadis. So this was another important initiative. Now, as mentioned by Honorable Minister and also highlighted by Secretary WCD, a very important part of the program has been upgradation of existing Anganwadis, basically housed in government buildings, as Saksham Anganwadis, which are essentially generation 2 Anganwadis. So these are the Anganwadis which will be equipped with LED screens, with Poshan Vatikas for easy access to local produce, then with rainwater harvesting structures, and most importantly with audio and visual smart teaching aids. We have identified 41,192 Anganwadis to be upgraded as Saksham Anganwadis, and the process is on for another 80,000. So this was another key initiative. Besides talking about nutrition, I would say that a very major policy shift has been to move away from calorie-specific diets to a more balanced formulation for every age group that looks at integrating micronutrients, vitamin B6, B12, etc., for more holistic nourishment. And in this regard, I would like to mention that we have been allocating only fortified rice with vitamins B6, B12 and folic acid to all states and UTs for using in the supplementary nutrition program. Besides, it has been made mandatory to integrate millets at least once a week under the same program.
So I think ensuring what you said, I think Aditi ji, what you said, the holistic approach towards nutrition, every aspect that you shared with us, we'll come back to that as well. Cynthia, if I can come to you, 74 years of cooperation working with the Government of India, UNICEF India at this point today. But like we were talking about nutrition, the holistic approach, we do know malnutrition is a challenge, anemia is a challenge, but India has reshaped, like Aditi ji was saying, reorientated, reimagined the nutrition landscape. But specifically, one of the key highlights is the recently released National Protocol on Community-Based Management of Malnutrition in Children. Could you tell us about that? Because the work really is on ground.
So thank you for that. And I think over 74 years, UNICEF is so proud to have been learning with and from India. And I think that's what we're talking about today is so many lessons that we've brought together. I think it would be two things. One of the things that we've been hearing about this morning is that India is investing at the very beginning of life. So the first 1,000 days is very important. The human brain, 80% of a person's brain develops in the first 1,000 days. So what we're talking about here, what the Honorable Minister mentioned, what Secretary Pandey said, is that immediate understanding, the knowledge of importance of nutrition from the very beginning, 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, looking at that complementary feeding and then transitioning to a diverse, healthy diet. That knowledge is built into giving that to the mothers and the families. But what's important are the systems that we've just heard about. So looking at having the guidelines that we can understand, and the recently launched community management of acute malnutrition is enforcing and enabling Anganwadi workers to be where children are. So what that management system protocols enables is giving the Anganwadi workers the knowledge, the tools, and then being able to impart that on the parents. In order for it to matter, you have to be where children are, and children are at home with their families.
Absolutely. I think what you said, first 1,000 days are so critical in every child's life. Moving on, Lakshmi Priya ji, I would like to come to you first. In fact, congratulations on getting that award. Wasting, of course, severely malnourished children, that's something which we struggle with. Tell us the secret, what really went into getting those numbers changed when we have that Sampurna initiative? How did you all get those numbers down of the malnourished children in the district?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm very happy to be a part of the panel today, especially when I'm sharing the dais with dignitaries like Aditi ma'am, Sindhya ma'am and others. So, I am an officer of the Indian Administrative Service from the 2014 batch. I am no longer the DM of Bongaigaon. When the project was done, I was DM there during the COVID times. In and around 2021, when this Poshan tracker was being launched. Presently, I am the State Mission Director of National Health Mission in the state of Assam. So, in the district of Bongaigaon, which is in the, on the river side of River Brahmaputra, which is prone to flooding every year, Bongaigaon has a population of around 10 lakhs, plus or minus a few thousands. We had 2,416 malnourished children when we initially did the assessment. So Secretary Sir was mentioning about how WHO tracker is incorporated into the Poshan tracker now. Then it wasn't. It was a different mechanism. So what we did was we got huge WHO growth charts printed for both boys and girls, and we got them, printed out in vinyl sheets and got them pasted in all the Anganwadis to start off with. We used those to find out what the actual number of malnourished children were, and we found out that we had 2,416 numbers of malnourished children. 246 out of them were severe acute malnourished, the rest were MAM children. So we were worried what would we do, because we were in the middle of COVID and nothing was going anywhere. So then in our collective discussions, we came up with the idea that the one person who is most pained by the child's malnutrition is the mother. So what we did was we identified two mothers from the same Anganwadi, one mother whose child is malnourished and the other whose the child is normal. So suppose my baby is malnourished and her baby is normal, we both are buddy mothers. So now it becomes so we are a group. So it becomes our responsibility to get my baby also healthy. So it in a way it is competition, but then it's also friendship, you see,
Healthy
at the end of the day. It's very healthy, true. So at the end of the day, she's my friend, she's my neighbor, she's from my same Anganwadi area, and we are more or less in similar socio-economic status. So after 3 months, we saw a huge development. We got 75% reduction, and we thought the data was wrong. And then we also understood that women don't have that kind of purchasing power parity in our society, nor does she make a lot of choices that depend upon usage of money. So we then plan to involve all the women into self-help groups under NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission. So that was the change that we brought about, and by the end of the year, we got a reduction of 95.6%. That's probably why the ministry in their latest guidelines have included buddy mothers as one of the things that has to be done. So that was our model, a very simple model that you create buddy pairs, involve the community, and help the women help themselves, women empowerment. The concept is called positive deviance. I'm sure those of who have heard about it in sociology will understand. So.
बसंता जी, यू आर नोन एज द न्यूट्रिशन मैन ऑफ इंडिया. काफ़ी समय से आप न्यूट्रिशन पे काम कर रहे हैं. क्या आप हमें बता सकते हैं क्या इम्पैक्ट्स रहे हैं पोषण अभियान के, ब्रीफ में?
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. Poshan Abhiyan and latter Poshan 2.0, shaped by the determination of the Honorable Prime Minister, signal a new era in nutrition history. I think it is target-driven and it has power and potential to transform India into a nutrition superpower. If India can become a nutrition superpower, definitely there will be change in SDG 2 and whole world, because India is known sometimes by epicenter of malnutrition. So that is a significant impact not only for India but also for the whole world. The second, it focuses on first 1000 days, which is the first window of opportunity. Also it gives emphasis on adolescent girls, which is the second window of opportunity. Let me come to specifically about the impact. If you look into National Family Health Survey 4 and National Family Health Survey 5, there is a reduction in stunting, there is a reduction in wasting. Although anemia and obesity have gone in many states, but there is also reduction of anemia and obesity in many, many Indian states. Look into Poshan tracker. I think we discussed today in the morning. 1/5 of the children was found in NFHS 5 about they are stunted. But look into Poshan tracker. I think they have been able to, ministry has been able to successfully measure it, and it is less than 7.2%. So India is emerging not only as a nutrition superpower, but also is providing, has gold mines of a lot of impact models which world can learn and emulate. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So since you said Poshan tracker, the question to you, Archana, is that tell us about the work which y'all are doing with this groundbreaking tool. We know it's a groundbreaking tool. What is the work which y'all are doing on ground with the Poshan Tracker specifically?
First of all, thank you for having me on this panel, and I'm really happy to learn from my other panelists as well. We've heard a lot about the Poshan Tracker since morning. First of all, I would say that the strongest of the policies and programs that are developed by the government are the ones that are informed by data and evidence. So Poshan Tracker, with its real intent of providing real-time data on nutrition and nutrition outcomes, is an extremely powerful tool. So we've worked and supported, and we are privileged to work with the Ministry of Women and Child Development on the development of Poshan Tracker along with NAGD. What we've seen is a massive scale-up of the tracker. The fact that it was launched in 2021 and today we are just about sitting in 2023, the data is pretty staggering and very impressive. The fact that it's been scaled to over 13.2 lakh Anganwadi workers who are using the Poshan Tracker. Obviously, it took time to ramp up, but the fact that it's being used by 1.3 million Anganwadi workers, the fact that it reaches about 10 crore beneficiaries, and out of the 8 crore children under 6 who are touched by Anganwadis, and more than 7 crore of them have their nutrition outcomes actually measured through Poshan Tracker is pretty impressive. And we also heard from the Honorable Minister today the fact that there's so much of energy that is going towards reviewing the data, because it's not data. Data is not an end in itself. How you intake the data and how do you improve the programs, the reviews are really important. So monthly reviews and quarterly reviews at the level of minister is actually leading to strengthening of the program. Okay. So the tracker in itself is pretty fundamental. Like Basanta mentioned, that there are tools that India can have, the impact that India has, and that the world can learn from. I think Poshan Tracker is one of those tools. What had not happened before is also integration between the Health Ministry and the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Nutrition is a program that actually straddles across different ministries, and now the tracker has ability to integrate that data, because you can deduplicate the audiences between health and nutrition. Integration with RCH and UN is super critical. I mean, the community who works on nutrition knows what that means, and further integration with education as well, because nutrition tends to be intergenerational from childhood to adolescent to...
Exactly. On the generational bit, Dr. Aparna, was coming to you. Mr. Kaal also said about, adolescent girls. So coming to that, this whole intergenerational cycle, how can we stop that? Because only a healthy girl, then a healthy adolescent can become a healthy mother. How do you think we can help that in making India malnutrition free?
So you have to have a life cycle approach.
Yes.
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here, and so lovely to learn from so many wonderful panelists. But to really, tackle the intergenerational effect of malnutrition, the fact that you have undernourished adolescent girls becoming pregnant and giving birth to low birth weight babies who go on to become then stunted or wasted, and then going up to become, underweight, adolescent girls, and then the cycle continues. Two way to really, stop that is to have a, life cycle approach to malnutrition, because then you understand that different life cycle stages have different needs.
Yes.
You need to start preconception, then go on to adolescent along with antenatal care, and then 1,000 days of the child. You need to tackle malnutrition from that perspective, right? Secondly, it's so important that we do not wait for the malnutrition to become really severe, like go on to becoming severely underweight. It's so important to pick up the children much earlier, right? When they are like moderately underweight, for example.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you're able to kind of work with a mother to improve the child's health from the perspective of what she can do with what is available to her in her household, right?
Yeah.
So we've done a program, Arman has done a program where we did an RCT, where we actually handheld mothers whose children are moderately underweight for 12 weeks. And it was actually digital. It was like a trained nutrition counselor was hand-holding the mother through personalized calls weekly.
Okay.
And we also had WhatsApp messages going to the mother. And when we handheld for 12 weeks, focusing on health and nutrition, hygiene, sanitation, dietary practices, we found literally 40% reduction in progression to severe acute malnutrition.
So
in
again,
severely
seeing that
underweight.
impact,
Yes.
like Lakshmi ji said, what they
Yes.
actually saw in Assam,
Yes.
Bongaigaon.
Yes.
Aditi ji, if I can ask you, the panelists have been saying, and we know how relevant nutrition is, starting young, first 1,000 days, healthy mothers. What really is the mission, the vision further for the Poshan Abhiyan? Can you take us to that?
The first of all, to address the intergenerational cycle of malnutrition, we need to take another look at the scheme for adolescent girls. The scheme has already been initiated by the ministry, but right now it is confined only to the aspirational districts and the northeast states. If you see the last census, there are as many as 58 million adolescent girls in the age bracket of 15 to 19. So this is the target group that we will need to focus on to be able to ensure that children are not married off early, adolescent girls, and in turn they do not give birth to low birth weight babies. So this would be one area. The second area, and I think everybody has already seen the presentation which Secretary WCD had given, the Poshan tracker is going to be a big game changer. It is already generating a lot of data for analytics and for course correction wherever required. It is also issuing a series of alerts to the states for perfecting what they are already doing. Now, India already has 52,924 sectors, which roughly has about 26 Anganwadis. Now, in all these sectors, at least half of them are reporting wasting levels, which are well below 5% of the SDG target for 2030. So this is a great achievement, I would say. And if you compare the NFHS 5 data, which looked at a sample size which had perhaps only 6 lakh households, the Poshan tracker has been measuring as many as 8 crore children on a sustained basis in the last 9 months. And the wasting data is, as has already been pointed out by one of the panelists, it is an eye-opener, because what is reported under NFHS 5 is 19%. What the tracker is showing is 6%. And out of this, SAM children are only 1.9%.
Yeah. So this is a huge vision. Work is happening. In fact, Cynthia, I wanted to ask you one thing, which haven't spoken about, is about complementary feeding. 11%. Again, still, how can we bridge that gap?
So I think I would pick up on maybe one key thing which we've talked about, which is number one is preventing something terrible happening. And so how do we have that strong nutrition knowledge but intervention in order to prepare children to excel? It's wonderful we have some 11th and 12th grade students who are showing when we prepare children with nutrition and health, they're ready to take on the world. And so I think it is this issue of really converging and looking at nutrition and health and that focus of preventing the worst from happening and preparing children to excel. And I think we've talked about a lot of numbers. And we've had the opportunity working with the government to see what it looks like. Our executive director for UNICEF came and went to Lucknow. She followed an Anganwadi worker and she met Babita, whose young son was born underweight, Pushpendra, and the Anganwadi worker identified him and then followed him and worked with the mother to understand breastfeeding. Then when it was time for complementary feeding, to understand what that meant, what a healthy, diverse diet means. Now he is thriving, he's on track with the usual indicators and ready to go to school. So that's what it looks and feels like when we look at that gap and address it.
Thank you so much for all your expertise. I think in this Amritkaal Ki Anganwadi, it's important that together as a nation, we're looking at holistically while the government is doing this, but our stakeholders have come together. Thank you so much for joining us for this special show.